What's going on, Lego Maniacs? It's Ty, the Lego guy here, and welcome to another episode of To Invest or Not to Invest. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Marvel theme and seeing if it's worth the investment, and if so, which sets we should maybe pay attention to and which ones we should maybe steer away from. This is also going to help out the collector, because the last thing we want to happen is for a set to retire on us. We don't end up picking it up and it's now worth double, triple, or even quadruple what it was going for when it was on shelves. But anyways, this one should be interesting and helpful for you guys. But enough talk, let's get right into it. And before we get into the list of examples, I just wanted to mention that this is not professional investing advice. Invest at your own risk. But now that we got that out of the way, the first one we're going to take a look at is a bang. It's the 6866 Lego X-Men Wolverines Chopper Showdown. This set came out in 2012 and it retailed for about $19.99 USD. Now nowadays on average it's going for $159. That is a crazy appreciation over the last, say, 10 years. Part of the reason why is all three of these minifigures, the Magneto minifigure, Wolverine, along with Deadpool, are all exclusive to this set. They were not included in any others. So that's one of the things we're gonna see with this theme is the minifigures really play a part with the value of the set. But if you did buy this one for an investment, you did crazy well. Just as a disclaimer, not all the sets do as well as this one, but if you did have this one again, you did quite well. And the next example is the 6867 Lego Avengers Loki's Cosmic Cube Escape. This one, just like the last, came out in 2012 and it retailed for 20 USD. But nowadays it's going for about 60 USD. So you still would have tripled your money with this one. You just wouldn't have got as crazy gains as the last model we took a look at. So just bear that in mind. We're trying to find a medium and seeing how all these sets do on average on the aftermarket. Which brings us to the 6869 Lego Avengers Quinjet Aerial Battle. Came out in 2012, retailed for 60 USD. And nowadays, well, unfortunately, it's only going for about 120 USD on average. So you still would have doubled your money, but just this is giving us an idea. Some of these sets you do really, really well. Other sets you triple your money. And then others you only double after 10 years, which in my opinion is not the greatest investment. But again, it's not terrible. We'll now look at the 76005 Lego Ultimate Spider-Man Daily Bugle Showdown. This is sort of like a miniature version of the Daily Bugle that we have nowadays. Now this went for about 50 USD and on average it's going for $147 nowadays. And it came out in 2013. So again, not terrible. You're over doubling your money with this, or almost tripling your money with this one. It's obviously not as good as our first example, but still, we're seeing a trend here. Marvel sets generally will appreciate in value. It's just a question of how much. Now this one's quite similar to our first example. It's the 76078 Lego Hulk vs. Red Hulk. This came out in 2017 and it retailed for about 60 USD. Now nowadays it's going for 160 USD, and what's interesting about it is the 4 minifigures that are included in it are exclusive to this set. If you wanted to buy just the 4 minifigures on their own, they're saying on average you'd pay about $137.84. So most of the value of this set is in the minifigures. Again, that's with Marvel, that's what I'm finding. Minifigures are one of the biggest things to look for with a set if you're planning on investing on it, depending on how unique they are. And our next set is the 76004 Lego Ultimate Spider-Man Spider Cycle Chase. This one came out in 2013 and it retailed for about 20 USD. So if you're thinking that every set appreciates a ton on the aftermarket as far as the Marvel theme goes, unfortunately you'd be wrong. This one's only going for about $37.59. So it hasn't even doubled in money in almost 10 years. So be careful. This one did have 2 unique minifigures, at least to this set, being Nick Fury and Venom, the variation of them at least. So yeah, be careful. Not every set's gonna appreciate a ton. This is probably the worst set on the list. And the next one we'll take a look at is a little bit different. We're gonna get into some promos, or at least gifts with purchase. It's the 30168 Lego Iron Man 3-gun mounting system. This came out in 2013. And nowadays it is going for $81.98. So promos, at least if they're minifigures, it looks like they do really well on the aftermarket because again, Marvel's all about the minifigures. That's a huge thing when investing in this theme, and this one did very, very well. Which brings us into our next set, which is also a promo. It's the 30610 Lego Giant Man Hank Pym. This came out in 2017, and on average it's going for about $16.01 on the aftermarket. So just like the last one, it appreciated quite a bit, not quite as much as the last poly bag, but still quite well. So again, minifigures, that's something I'm seeing is really key with this theme. And just for fun, I thought we'd take a look at a couple Comic-Con sets. The first one being the 75997 Lego San Diego Comic-Con Ant-Man and the Wasp. This came out in 2018, retailed for about 40 USD at the Comic-Con. Nowadays, it's going for 300 USD. So if you can get your hands on some of the Comic-Con sets, they appreciate a ton. The other one I just wanted to briefly look at is the Lego San Diego Comic-Con 2013 Spider-Woman minifigure. This is going for $6,303. Came out in 2013. That's absolutely absurd. I don't think I've ever seen a minifigure go for that on average. And believe it or not, as I look at Brick Economy, they have had sales around that price. So yeah, there you go, minifigures again. That's one of the biggest things to look for with the Marvel theme. And we'll now take a look at my favorite set to come out of the Marvel theme, which is the 76042 Lego Marvel Shield Helicarrier. This is a beautiful looking model, came out in 2015, and it retailed for about 350 USD. Now nowadays, it's only going for about $523.86 on average. This was shocking. I did not expect this. I felt that this would follow more so the way of a Lego Star Wars UCS set, which generally would have doubled after it's been retired for about 5 years. If it might even be worth more than that, to be perfectly honest. But this one has only had a 49% roughly increase. So not terrible, but again, I was kind of shocked to find this information, and this is high on my wanted list. So I may actually end up buying this one sometime relatively soon, just because it isn't going for too much more than what it retailed for. So just be a little bit careful on the bigger sets. It doesn't necessarily mean that those sets are going to do well just because of their size when they do retire. So looking at these examples, it's pretty clear to see that Marvel sets do appreciate in value after they retire. It's just a question of how much, so be a little bit careful with which ones you invest in. But this now leads us into which sets should we maybe have our eye on that are available on the market right now. The first one we're going to take a look at is the 76178 Lego Spider-Man Daily Bugle. This came out in 2021 and it retails for about 300 USD. This set has two major things going for it. The first being it has almost 20 minifigures that are unique to this set. And the second reason why I think that this is a good choice is because it's made in the modular style. So you can fit this in with your modular city. And modulars, I'd have to say, are probably one of the best, if not the very best themes to invest in. So this is a double whammy. I feel that this one's going to do very well in the aftermarket. It's just a question of when it does retire. And the next model I feel will do well on the aftermarket is the 76193 Lego Avengers Endgame, the Guardian ship. This is a fantastic looking model. Came out in 2021 and it retails for only 150 USD. Now why I say only is because this is basically a UCS set without being called a UCS set. It doesn't have a plaque, but it's just as detailed as any large-scale Star Wars model. You also have 4 minifigures that are unique to the set, so that definitely helps with the value. And it's just not worth all that much. Like 150 bucks is not terrible, considering it's about the same size as a $200 UCS set that was made for Star Wars. So I feel that this one will do very well. Again, just like the last, it's just a question of when it will retire. Let's now take a look at a smaller set that we could maybe invest in, which is 76200 Lego Avengers Endgame Bro Thor's New Asgard. This is such a creative little build. Love the overall look of it. Came out in 2021 and it retails for only 30 USD. This also has 2 unique minifigures, being Korg and the Fat Thor, so that definitely helps out with its value. This is one of those ones that I think any Marvel fan is going to want. I'm not even a huge Marvel guy, but I saw this on shelves. I'm like, you know what? I need to own that one. It's also quite small. Again, it's cheap, so you won't have a hard time storing it. Overall, I think it's a great choice. We'll now briefly take a look at the 76209 Lego Thor's Hammer. This came out in 2022, retails for about 100 USD, and apparently, at least according to Brick Economy, it has a limited retail. so it may not be on shelves for all that long. This is a perfect collector set. I think any Marvel fan would want it. It is a little boring since it is a hammer, but I mean, it's Thor's hammer, and I could see even myself sticking this on a shelf. I feel that this one's going to do well. I also think that the Infinity Gauntlet, that set 76191, is going to do well on the aftermarket. It's very similar to the hammer. It's just a very nice looking collector piece. And last but not least, I wanted to mention the brand new 76218 Sanctum Sanctorium. This model retails for about 250 USD. Beautiful looking model. It's made again in the modular style, which is part of the reason why I think it's going to do well in the aftermarket. This is going to be available for the next number of years, but when it does retire, it's definitely going to appreciate, at least in my opinion. But that pretty well does this episode of To Invest or Not to Invest. Let me know what your personal thoughts are on this list. If you agree with it, if you disagree, any models you think maybe I should include on it that are not there. Always interested to hear your guys' take. But that pretty well does the episode. But if you liked it, leave it a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, definitely consider subscribing and click that bell so you're notified for any future To Invest or Not to Invest videos. We do one of these basically every month or every 2 months at the latest. And yeah, hopefully they're helping you out. But thanks again for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.